Hello and welcome to Will Watches This Is Bubble. So I don't really know a lot about this. I'm going in basically blind. There's something to do with bubbles and like a bit of like anti-gravity like parkour thing that I saw in the trailer. But what's really attracted me to this is the production crew. So this is animated by Studio Wit, who did season 1 through 3 of Attack on Titan. Then it's also directed by Araki, who directed Attack on Titan season 1 through 3. Then the soundtrack is done by Sawano, who does the phenomenal Attack on Titan soundtrack. And then this is written by Orobochi, who also wrote Madoka Magica, which is something I haven't seen but I know a lot of people really love. And then the OP here is done by Eve, who did the first OP for Jujutsu Kaisen, which is amazing. Then the character designer here is Takeshi Obata, who did the character design for Death Note. So this is a really stacked production crew. It's almost like all of the big hitters that they could get just for this one movie. So I'm really excited for it. So before we jump into this, be sure to check out the Patreon. Over there you can get early access, where you can access the Grand Budapest Hotel reaction right now. You can also find polls, so you can vote for what's next. And you can find a full-length timer-based version where you can just sync up your own footage and watch along with me. So yeah, let's just jump right in. You know, this is a Wit on a movie budget as well, so I'm expecting this to be absolutely just gorgeous. Yeah, it looks like a universe inside that bubble. That was just what I was thinking looking at it. Zooming right in on Japan, yeah. A mermaid. Okay, this whole city's flooded. Looks like she's like producing the bubbles too. Oh, this whole city's in this giant bubble. Okay, all underwater. I mean, immediately this music is just like majestic, as you'd expect from Sawano. Is this the Eve OP? So was that a flash forward we were seeing there, or like a vision, or is this giant water bubble actually covering this part of the city? Okay, yeah, it looks like a disaster happened there. It looked like disaster footage. And there's bubbles like all around and they're doing this parkour. That's what I'd seen before, like a few clips of the parkour, I guess. Looked like some like evil organization or something. They looked like goons that had these masks on. Yeah, this is super fast paced. It's kind of hard to pick up on stuff, you know? Yeah, some of this is just gorgeous. Look at that. So does this take place in a flooded Tokyo then? And they're playing like capture the flag parkour. Yeah, it's just like this playground for parkourists, isn't it? Oh, this might be like an official sport. It looks like uniforms there as well. So setting them up is really good. Okay, so some weird magical pit it looks like. Okay, go explain the rules to us, yeah? So don't fall in the ocean. They've got nothing else to do in this flooded city than to play this game. Yeah, I saw these guys in the opening with these masks. Reminds me of Zelda, the Yiga clan from Zelda, it looks like. So they can parkour off the bubbles, but obviously it's very hard to control. Yeah, he's right over that pit as well. So he's the most skilled main character. He can actually use the bubbles. Just really elegantly like bounces off them. You have to be gentle with them. Oh, this car is just floating as well? Okay. Oh, he had like noise cancelling headphones. This is all too stimulating for him. I mean, they're obviously going really crazy with all this perspective work here. Yeah, I think it's this exact clip that I'd seen. Just going for it, the animators, aren't they? They said taking home our gasoline. Is that the prize? Is gasoline like really valuable here? So their price is all food and supplies. Yes, okay, so gravitational anomaly, and she's studying it. You can hear something going on with the anomaly. Did it like originate there at Tokyo Tower then?
5年前、世界中に泡が降った。
Okay, so it looked like one popped and then that happened.
各地で泡が降り止んだ後も、東京中心部のみで現象は継続した。
So Tokyo's the only one affected at the moment.
日本の首都ではなくなっていた。
Yeah, because it's all completely flooded. Okay.
捨てられた。
But the abandonment acts as a playground for these people.
無法に滞在する少年たちが現れた。後方現象で身寄りを失った孤児である彼。その一人の少年は言う。タワーから歌が聞こえると。
Because he has this hypersensitive hearing, yeah. So it's kind of like these orphan boys trying to make this abandoned place into their paradise, you know? That looked like a sentient bubble. It like reacted to seeing him. It almost sounds like a ghostly noise when he bounces off one, like a soul. That looked like that could be him as a kid. Does going in affect time somehow? He's like unlocking a memory or something. And that looks like just a straight up black hole. Wow. So yeah, no one can really reach and observe the like origin because of all the gravitational shenanigans around it. He's getting really beat up here. I'm surprised he can hold his breath. And this is what we saw right at the start, right? This girl saving him, so does this bubble turn into that girl? Oh, that looked just like a cell, like multiplying, yeah. Oh, and she turns into that girl because it was just what she had seen at the moment. Yeah, this music is great. They're really playing with the realism there. It looks so more realistic here than it did before. Yeah, she seems really like curious about the world, really innocent. Oh, she's super aerobatic though. Can she join their team? Yeah, she's obviously like learning about the world in this new body. She's a cat girl. The bubbles like grow when she touches him. Okay. Don't know, it's a bit creepy her doing that in the middle of the night. Doesn't Makoto have any clothes she can give her? Is she just gonna be in this like uniform the whole time? This idol uniform? He's just completely ignoring her. Yeah, she's kind of like a cat, right? Like in her body language. So she can hear it too. Okay, so there's like these little clouds about that have anti-gravity. Yeah, she's just like mirroring what he does.
格好ねすげえなマジでパルクール覚えたらすごそう
But it's a 5-on-5 game, so one of them will have to be replaced.
わあ何
Oh, she's wasting all these eggs as well. Yeah, she's causing problems for everyone a bit.
これさっきお前が潰した鶏の卵。
Yeah, so they had to save the food as much as possible. Does she recognize it as the egg from earlier?
響歌
So she's picking up on the language.
ならパルクールもすぐ上手くなるかも。
So Makoto, if she finds out like she originates from the bubble, she might not experiment on her, but like research about her. She might be able to help out with the research.
シンさんはもうやらないんですかパルクール
年だからこれだしな。
Oh, he tried to reach the top of the tower as well.
外の世界はあいつらにとって息苦しいのさ。
Yeah, this is like an escape for them, but they might have to eventually grow up and get out of there. Oh, he has a daughter and a wife. Are they on the outside world, or did they were lost in like the flooding or something?
なんだあれ。
Now that must be cheating, having some devices.
おっとうら
It like harnesses the bubbles a bit.
R5 ポイント N2 へ移動。
And they've got someone like overseeing them, like a chess game kind of. Even the way they move is quite creepy, like they've animated their body language quite well.
すみません。ちょっとわかりません。
And they talk through the speaker on the hand. They're really weird. Is she kind of recognizing herself as a mermaid?
なんで王子を助けた人魚姫がワインになって消えなきゃいけないわけ
Is that like foreshadowing for what her story would be?
海の上に出た人魚姫は船に乗っていた人間の王子を見て
Yeah, so she's seeing this as her story, but maybe it won't play out in the same way as the actual story.
王子様
Her language has got a lot better. Her eyes are almost like the galaxy we saw at the beginning there. Yeah, she's doing it like almost effortlessly. Okay, so she's not just mirroring him now, she's like doing it herself. And she can bounce off the bubbles, of course, yeah. Again, this music, Sawano is just a master.
こちらです。
Seems like these kind of evil guys, they have like a leader or something. The Morticians.
あの二人ならいけるかもね。
早く終わらせっぞ。
Is this guy kind of jealous a bit, or he's worried about being replaced on the team? No one else has seen her kind of magical powers yet, have they? Yeah, they're really just letting the music speak for itself, giving these moments to Sawano. Okay, so she's learning a bit about all of the devastation that happened.
集まって爆発して散らばってまた集まる
Like bubbles, it like builds up like a bubble, then pops and then reassembles, okay.
渦そう渦
So she's really learning the vocabulary now.
しかしよくあんなやつに懐いたもんで。
Yeah, so he's a bit jealous of the romance side as well. That was called the reaction, that kind of squash and squeeze a bit there. It probably looked funny on the in between frames, right?
ここのこと他のやつらに言うなよ。
She's always just kind of like full of delight. She's always discovering, loving, discovering everything. Oh, he has this secret garden.
秘密
Not sure how I feel about the flashing between like the more realistic rendering of the characters there. It feels a bit uncanny seeing like how the super realistic and then like this, which is a bit less realistic and more stylized.
ここは音が優しいんだ。
This is like his safe spot where it's all calm.
街は音が多くて怖かった。なんでみんなは平気なのかな。
The city life was too much for him. Yeah, he's just like overstimulated, isn't he? I know that's the thing, like with autistic people. I'm not saying that necessarily that he is autistic, but maybe if someone autistic is like watching this, this could be something they relate to, you know?
いろんな病院を転々として頑張って良くならなきゃって思ったけど
And how he is kind of always on his own, doesn't quite fit in.
施設のみんなとタワーにいたんだ
Oh, he was on the tower when it happened. But he liked it. So he kind of has like a connection to the explosion, perhaps.
聞いた歌
He had the song that happened that was imprinted on him or something. I just know later that little melody is going to come back up and give me chills during the finale or something, isn't it? Yeah, it's like whenever the bubbles are interacted with, there's this like exhaling sound. It sounds like people, you know? So I'm wondering if there's something there. Is she that like bubble from before? Like this, you can see how the line out around the characters has gone purple now for this scene. Kind of makes it a bit more ethereal, I guess. Or maybe it was always purple and I just didn't notice. Oh, she doesn't know what a high five is. Who is this with a submarine? Oh, of course, yeah. And the Morticians. They're like super high tech, aren't they? I wonder what the deal with them is. There must be something deeper with them.
歌がここに来た日
So something's changing since she arrived.
おはようございます
And these guys like not talk themselves? Is someone talking for them? Or can they not talk Japanese? Like that's a translation? Oh, the prize is her. Are they just doing this all for money? I think I might recognize that voice actor. Is that Jean's voice actor?
響ボコス
Yeah, she's definitely gonna be the ace up their sleeve, right?
歌の初陣だな
Or is that Aaron's voice actor? Yeah, that's definitely Yuki Kaji. So they've got these boots, but do they have any other tricks up their sleeve? Oh, they're the ones with the drone on looking. They're just like social media stars. So are they called the Morticians or the Undertakers? Or is that just like a translation thing, you know? And this like death pit is like growing and growing even more, isn't it? And they're like purposely destroying stuff as well. So it's just Kai, Hibiki, and Yuta left. Can Uta see that they're doing this with their feet and like copy them with her bubble abilities? Yeah, so they're just trying to make a big spectacle out of this for more views, right?
そこ飛んだらアリ地獄に引きずり込まれるぞ
Yeah, do they just die if they fall in this pit? Like, what happens?
この渦を飛べる道具は俺たちにはない
She's gonna do something here, isn't she? She must. She's jumping straight in. So she kind of knows she can instinctively work through the vortex, through the gravitational shenanigans. Is her singing like just her understanding and like harmonizing with it, or is she like settling it down a bit? So Kai's working with them. And he can like copy her path through, yeah. Yes, they can only go through all this because of all the gear, but she just like instinctually knows it, right? Okay, so he is actually starting to like her. Oh, he's losing his headphones. All of this destruction, only maybe at this scale. I mean, if someone hurts Hibiki though, Uta's gonna go crazy. She's hesitating for some reason here. Oh, we get to see them under the mask as well. Oh yeah, there's the bubbles. But does that get televised to everyone? Oh, her whole arm is and back to bubbles. Okay, so we do get to see them under their mask.
ありがとう
Finally being a bit vulnerable with them. Is it like calling her back in or something? What is this? It was like some eldritch horror, some interdimensional being or something.
人魚姫が海に帰ってくることを望んでいる
So is she like an alien kind of? She needs to return home. And also part of the story was her turning into foam, right? And that's kind of her turning into bubbles. Is this a vision of the future? Even more destruction? Is her arm actually gonna regrow at some point? I hope so. She like collect more bubbles to grow it back.
ずっと俺だと思ってたのは俺じゃなかった
She's helping him discover his true self.
初めて俺になった
Yeah, that's really ominous, that music.
この泡は
They're falling down even more. They're kind of different colour as well. They're almost pinky purpley.
やっぱり5年前と同じ
Oh, it's falling down in like the same pattern as before. In the vortex. So that means there's going to be another explosion. But this whole thing isn't like caused by her, is it? I hope. Oh, he's getting part of the vision as well. It's like this is all caused by them wanting her to return. Yeah, that bubble he saw was Yuta. She like imprinted on him or something. So these are like alien bubbles, kind of. They look like they were coming down to Earth.
君だったんだね
Was she the one that exploded though and caused all this?
呼んでる止めなきゃ
Yeah, she needs to stop it all from happening. Yeah, navigating through all of this must be crazy. Yeah, he has to go in and save her.
響タワーに行く
What does this gear actually do though? I guess it's like symbolic of him going out there, but it's not. This harness doesn't really do anything parkour wise, does it?
しょうがねえな
Yeah, it'll help. He's been like a little bit of a rival so far, but he's got to help.
BB のエースにフォールさせられないだろ
Is the older guy gonna join as well? Because he had like given up the parkour, right? Oh, they're giving them their boots.
購入しますか
That guy's design, it reminded me a bit of is it 12 or 9 from Terran Resonance? I noticed it earlier when they first like showed him with the mask off. Yeah, they gotta get used to these boots first though, don't they?
遊んでんじゃねえぞ
This music is just great. Yeah, it's combining that little melody that we've heard all along before.
このブースでも俺が先行する
Oh, Shin is joining. In like his old gear as well. You see he's like animated with a bit of a limp there as well, that's really cool. It isn't just like ignoring the consequences of his prosthetic, I guess. Oh, Kai is going with him as well.
帰りは歌と一緒だからな
They're all the teamwork boosting off each other. Hopefully Shin can get back okay now. Is she like guiding him? Oh, okay. But now regular gravity can just take effect.
俺には届かなかった
でも響お前なら
Yeah, this was something that he tried to do before. That's how he lost his leg, right? Cheering on the next generation, helping Hibiki to do it. They're like frozen in time when the explosion happened.
5年前のなんで
That wasn't Shin's family, was it? That might just be a stretch, just seeing the daughter and the mother there. Okay, so he's seeing himself here as well, yeah? It's like stepping into this memory of this traumatic moment. It's funny him walking in on his high heel boots, you know? I think it sounded like he knew who she was.
ちゃんと聞こえてるよ
He was like, is that you?
君だったんだね
Oh, because he's heard this song before. Okay, so the explosion wasn't actually her, it was these red bubbles that caused it.
泡たちの怒りに触れてしまったのかもしれない
So he blames himself a bit. It looked like she saved him here as well. Okay, and she saved him later on as well. So it's kind of Yuta and him that caused all this to happen a bit. Unintentionally, but it was still kind of them. Yeah, those memories were illusion. Was someone presenting them to him though? Was it Yuta to like show him the past, or was it these people that are calling Yuta back? Yuta's sisters, I guess that's what she called them. Yeah, they won't let him reach them, will they? She needs to go and save him again. But if she does, she'll turn to foam and she's gonna like sacrifice herself, maybe.
まっしぐらに船底に身を投げ出した
She's gonna save him but fall to the sea. Yeah, she's completely falling apart. Oh, look at that. The 3D, but that worked really well there. If it was, it's like hyper realistic. And hear the music coming back in again.
その日々を何よりも自分の命よりも
Yeah, she was always filled with curiosity the whole time.
海の泡となっていくのが分かっても少しも怖くはなかった
Oh, and the whole thing's breaking apart.
行くな歌
私は私になれた
Oh, is this what he said to her? Oh, only leaving the necklace behind? But these red bubbles are still behind. Oh, they're turning into regular ones, okay. The melody's still there. She's still like around in spirit form. Or is she gonna reform? Yeah, I don't think she necessarily died. She just lost her human form and she like just returned to this bubble form and is now leaving. Or some of them are falling back down again.
いつかこの世界が命を終え地球が滅びたとしても
Yeah, it's all about the cycle.
私たちはまた大きな渦の一つとなるのだろう
I think that's symbolic of what we saw at the start as well, when the whole universe was like in a bubble as well. It all comes back to the spiral, the vortex. So the cities are all rebuilding, but they are still doing their battle core. Yeah, Yuta's kind of still there in spirit, in the bubbles. She just doesn't have the physical form. Okay, so that was Bubble. I think from a kind of technical standpoint, of course, this was just amazing because they had this amazing crew working on this film. You know, all the music was great, the animation, of course. But I do think the story kind of lets it down a bit. I feel like it could have done with being just a little bit longer. I understand what they were going for kind of emotionally, but it didn't quite resonate with me, and I think it could have just done with a bit more breathing room. You know, there's some character tropes here that we've seen before, kind of the bitter rival with Kai, and then the old kind of teacher with Shin, but it would have been great for maybe with Shin to learn a bit more of his backstory. We know he was this old parkour guy, and then he's out of the game now, and then he had this great moment where he comes back in, but it doesn't resonate emotionally as much because we never really got to see much of him before. It's like this moment kind of comes out of nowhere. If we had seen him trying to climb, this moment where he lost his leg, you know, show don't tell, we'd heard a lot about him, but we never really got to see it. So I just think this movie needed a little bit more time to breathe, but on all of the other aspects, the animation, the soundtrack, everything else, it was all really great. So yeah, just like a little bit more time just to fix some of the pacing issues, I guess, and then it does feel like it kind of ramps up really quick, so that would have made that transition a bit smoother. I feel like this is a problem that a lot of anime movies have, especially movies that are based on shows. It feels like the start is quite low stakes, and then suddenly it's like end of the world. You know, a lot of movies are like that, where it's like suddenly the end of the world, but it didn't feel like a natural progression of the stakes, I guess. You know, at one point they're just saving Makoto from this rival team, and then the next there's all of this fantastical stuff happening. I feel like there could have been a bit more of a progression up to that, but as I said, this is something that a lot of anime movies suffer from, especially like the My Hero movies. If you've seen those, it feels like the start is just introducing the characters, going through the motions, setting it all up just for the finale to be this big event. It feels like the start was almost an afterthought for this big event at the finale. I thought the parkour stuff here was really cool. I wasn't expecting it to be as big a role here, but it was really cool. Of course, the animation was great. All of the 3D, very dynamic movements, that was all amazing. And, you know, they're just showing off all of their great animation, and it was just really fun to watch all of the parkour. And I did really like some of the kind of slice of life stuff where they're just chilling on the boat and Hibiki's like watering his plants. They're all just like having fun, getting along. I think all of that worked really well as well. The characters worked really well here, even though some of them were a bit like simplistic. They're kind of tropes we'd seen before, but they're just kind of, they serve their purpose well, you know. This does rely a bit on a trope that I'm not a huge fan of, the Born Sexy Yesterday. Pop Culture Detective has a great video about it, but you know, Yuta, she's here and she's essentially like just born and she's very curious and it's fun to watch, but when there's kind of like the romantic aspect of it, it is a bit creepy. You know, she was obviously really interested in Hibiki as well, but it's weird, you know, this very innocent and childlike character, isn't it? It's a trope that I'm not like a huge fan of. It wasn't like too obscene or bad here, I guess, but it's still something that I'm not like a huge fan of. And because she's been like kind of sentient for quite a while, I feel like they could have done away from that, and when she comes around to being a human, she could still be like getting used to her body but still act quite mature. Like she acts kind of animal like. They could keep that, but she still acts like a bit childlike here, and I feel like they probably could have still done this and avoided that a little bit. You know, you could still be full of curiosity and all of this wonder, but still not be as childlike, I guess. I thought the Little Mermaid allegory worked really well here, them referencing the story, and she's like recalling the story, relating to the character, you know. It played a much bigger part in it than I thought it would, you know. They name dropped it and mentioned it, and I thought, okay, that's kind of like a foreshadowing, but it was something that kind of kept coming back up and up. She kept referencing the story with all of the events that were happening and kind of how they paralleled each other. But that did mean her kind of sacrifice and her death was a bit predictable because it was foreshadowed so much earlier. It didn't feel like a bit of a gut punch or anything because we'd kind of prepared ourselves for it, didn't we, as an audience. And then there's this like kind of potential autism allegory here. You know, they never fully outright say it. They're quite subtle about it, but it feels like that could be what the doctor was saying to Hibichi's mum, that he had autism, because the headphones are something that is used quite a lot, and then he is quite kind of reclusive and antisocial, doesn't quite get along. I feel like it's something that's almost up for interpretation, but it does feel like that could be something that people with autism can relate to, you know? But then if that is like the intended purpose, there's the bit where he's saying, you helped me discover who I'm supposed to be, and I don't know if that would necessarily be the best message if it was to do with this autism. It's treating it like there's this person who would be like a cure for you, and then you find the right person and then you're like whole again. I don't know if that's necessarily the best message. Obviously I'm not the best person to talk about this. I think this would be something for people with autism to watch and decide for themselves, but they, you know, it'd be interesting to see other people's interpretation of that, and maybe I'm just like reading a bit too far into it as well, you know, but they could also interpret that as positive, showing that, you know, romance is something that's on the table, is not like holding them back from finding a partner, you know. So there is like the multiple interpretations. You could see that as good or bad. Again, that's not something really for me to decide. I'm just kind of exploring the idea here as I go along. So if you are watching this and are autistic, I'd love to hear your interpretation of that. Leave a comment. So yeah, I think that's everything. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, leave a like or a comment. If you loved it, make sure to subscribe so you can keep up to date for the future uploads. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.